Sony's new 20-70 f4G lens is a strange beast. It's not exactly a wide-angle lens, it's not exactly a telephoto lens, but it takes that beloved 24-70mm focal length range and it gives it a little oomph, a little pizzazz. It gives it jazz hands. Since you're watching this video, you're likely looking for a great all-purpose zoom lens that's affordable, compact, and has excellent performance. Is the Sony 20-70 f4G lens that perfect combination of form and function? In this video, I'll share with you the strengths and the weaknesses of this lens, break down who the target customer is, and why it's a good choice for people who aren't even necessarily looking for a lens like this. Let's give it a try. I gotta tell you, I am not usually a fan of f4 lenses. Typically, an f4 lens is a less expensive iteration of an f2.8 or wider aperture lens that's aimed at the beginner or a photographer on a budget. I also have to admit that I am in love with this lens. I did not expect that to be the case. I already have this 24-70 GM2, which covers the majority of the focal lengths in the 20-70. As the owner of a high-end 24-70, this is not a lens that is targeted at me, but yet I fell in love with it anyhow. The Sony 20-70 f4G is one of those few cases where the maximum f4 aperture doesn't signify that the lens is missing something. Instead, here the f-stop was given up in order to create a small package at an affordable price that still has really excellent image quality. Thanks to a couple trips I took recently, I have thousands of images with the 20-70, and it's become a lens I have some really strong feelings about. In fact, I've taken more pictures with the 20-70 as a review unit than pretty much any other lens that I've ever used. On two recent trips, I brought the 20-70 f4G and I used it as my primary lens. I also had the 24-70 GM2 with me, figuring I'd use it for most of my shooting, and then only using the 20-70 to test it sporadically. Instead, I used it almost exclusively, almost nothing but the 20-70mm on both of my trips. One of the trips was on vacation with my family and some other families and all of our kids, and this was a perfect place to check out a little compact lens like this. The other trip was to Las Vegas for the Consumer Electronics Trade Show, and as anything can happen in Las Vegas, it did. And so I was able to take images with this lens. I did portraits, I did landscapes, I did long exposures, and strangely, I also came across a demonstration against the regime in Iran, and so I used it for photojournalism as well. So I want you to text me. My phone number is in the description below, and it's from Mint Mobile. They're a new partner of the channel. Go to mintmobile.com/DaveTriesThis to check them out. Mint Mobile offered me a free trial to see if I liked their service. I told them I was most interested in checking out the data speeds as I work remotely a lot and I use my phone as a hotspot. Mint Mobile invited me to put the 5G connection to the test as they know that data is the key to creators like you and me. I tested the data transfer speeds on this new account versus Verizon and they blew me away. I'll talk about that in a second. But first, I want you to text me your gear questions and I'll answer them. Maybe you'll make them into some videos. Tell me about what videos you'd like to see. Maybe tell me what camera gear you use, or even let me know that you're a fan of the channel. In fact, text me if you have questions about Mint Mobile too. Okay, so I set up an account with Mint Mobile. I fired up speed test and oh my god, the 5G transfer speeds are so much faster than my Verizon account. I'm talking up to 10 times faster, regularly, everywhere I go. In my very first test sitting at my desk, Verizon had a 30 megabit per second average download and 8 megabit per second upload. Mint Mobile averaged 250 megabit per second download and 45 up. At one point it hit 480 megabit per second. That's almost half the speed of my gigabit Ethernet connection. The fastest I have seen is 600 megabit per second. 600 megabit per second. Best of all, coverage starts at just $15 a month for both individual and family plans. Unlimited data plans are just $30 a month, and Mint Mobile even has representatives that will handle transferring your lines from your current carrier, including that lousy part of calling the carrier to help make the switch. Go ahead and text me your photo and tech questions. I'll record and upload some of the videos remotely and use that to test the upload speed some more. If you want to check out Mint Mobile, use the link mintmobile.com/DaveTriesThis. It really helps the channel out, and switching will save you money too. Where was I? The Sony 20-70 f4G is a relatively tiny lens. It weighs 17.2 ounces, which is 488 grams, or just over a pound. It measures 3.89 inches tall, 99 millimeters at the long end, unextended, and 3.09 inches, or 78.7 millimeters in diameter. Unfortunately, it's not an internally zooming lens. Most lenses at this size are not, and so that means that when you're shooting and you're at the long end, you're going to be extended. The Sony 20-70mm f4 has an impressive bunch of specs. This little 4-inch tall lens features two XD linear motors, the fastest motors Sony makes, and it was previously the type of focusing motors that originated on the G Master lenses. The result is autofocus that feels impressively close to that of the 24-70 GM2. For example, when I was photographing the demonstrations in Las Vegas, the lens would lock onto the eyes or the selected subjects without hesitation. I switched back and forth between this lens and the 24-70 several times, and in this environment, the 24-70 didn't really provide any significant focus benefit. For video shooters, these motors are the key to fast focusing, and I saw excellent results when I was recording video with this lens. The focusing is completely silent and incredibly fast. The lens has also been designed to have reduced focus breathing, reduced focus shift, and reduced axis shift. The 20-70 f4G also supports Sony's active mode image stabilization, which means that you give up a little bit of a crop in order to get a much more stable image. For video use, repeatable focus changes are really important, and the 20-70 f4G, along with several other Sony lenses, has linear focusing that mimics the manually connected lens. So that means that if I move this a little bit, say 2 degrees, it will do the exact same focus pull every single time I move it 2 degrees. And if you're liking this content, please remember to like and subscribe. It really helps out. The lens has excellent optical characteristics as well. It features 2 AA, which are advanced aspherical elements, 3 ED, which are extra low dispersion elements, and 1 ED aspherical lens. All these specialized optics are just here in order to reduce chromatic and spherical aberrations. But they say that the proof is in the pudding. Who says the proof is in the pudding? What does that even mean? The proof is in the pudding. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is that all of those optical elements won't amount to anything if they don't do a good job and create good images. Luckily, I found they create excellent images. I rarely take a camera with me on trips to town, but I would often grab my Sony a7C and this lens just in case a nice shot came up. The body of the Sony 20-70 is dust and moisture resistant. It has gaskets and seals, including gaskets here at the lens mount. I used the lens in heavy snows in Montreal with no issues to performance and really no concerns about the weather. None of the lenses I've used recently have had any issues in inclement weather, so I've sort of stopped thinking about that. I feel like travel lenses are sort of looked at like Swiss Army knives, able to handle a variety of tasks, but not able to perfectly capture any of them. But that's a shame because all good travel or all-purpose lenses have more than enough capabilities for the typical scenes that they typically encounter. These shots from the Montreal Biodome are a good example. They've been taken by my son. My son had been using the a7R5 and the 20-70 f4, which is not an ideal lens for small primates sitting on a tree 30 meters away. Still, the lens and the camera focused on the eyes, and the crop is more than usable. The lens was also excellent for street and lifestyle photography, both in low light and in bright sunlight. Most of my street style photography is more a documentary style, probably because of my photojournalistic background. The 20-70 f4G fit into that style perfectly, able to catch everything from fleeting moments of cultures passing each other on the street, to food and to restaurants, to our families playing outside in the snow. I was particularly happy with the long exposure shots that I took with the 20-70 and the Sony A1. These 40-second exposures have remarkably low noise and very high amounts of detail. The resolution is, of course, mostly a function of the sensor, but the detail wouldn't have been achieved without the high-quality optics in this lens. I mean, just look at this crop. This is nighttime 40 seconds on a high-resolution sensor. It is just amazing to me. I really love that long block outside of the Bellagio Hotel in Las Vegas. It's like the most touristy area of the city, but it's really the most vibrant as well. There's always people there trying to sell you something or have you take their photograph or take your photograph with them. I love to see the dynamic interactions between the tourists and all the vendors there. But it's notoriously difficult to photograph because it's actually one of the darker parts of Las Vegas. But I really like these images that I got there, including these pictures of the ladies that are selling these lit up balloons. The lens is remarkably good at preventing flare, although here in these Sunstar tests, I was shooting straight into the sun and there was a lot of flare. That's not really unexpected. It is hard not to get lens flare when you're pointing right at the sun, and as I stopped down the lens, the sun flare sort of went away a little bit. Vegas is amazing for its ability to throw something unexpected at you, and that was definitely the case as I emerged from the CES trade show into the bright light of day, blinking and staggering, only to find a public demonstration happening against the Iran regime. Organized by the families of those that died when Flight PS-752 was shot down by Iran's own Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps just after takeoff, the peaceful protests are staged regularly around the country, and they're trying to bring attention to the political situation in Iran. Below, you can find their website if you would like more information about their demonstrations. The 20-70 f4G isn't all perfect shots. One thing that has me scratching my head is the amount of distortion in some, but not all of the images at the 20mm focal length. In most of the wide-angle images, the distortion is pretty typical, with more distortion as the subject is placed farther from the center of the lens. Sometimes, however, the distortion was significant and it seemed not to relate directly to the horizontal position. In some of my images, like the long exposure night shots and this shot inside a walkway to the Bally's Hotel, the lens behaves exactly as I'd expect from a wide-angle lens. It's very likely there's some principle of optical design that I'm just not familiar with that skews a structure like this. It's just not something I expected at 20mm. It seems like the skew is different at the top and the bottom of the lens as well, but maybe that's the angle. If you know more about optical design than I do, please let me know in the comments what is causing this. As Sony claimed, this is an excellent lens for video. I found it to be silent, fast, and smooth. Sony's video autofocus has been so good for so long that I haven't seen a lens that performs poorly for video focus on the system in some time. There's one video area though where the lens didn't deliver as promised, or maybe it did, but I'm not quite sure about it. Sony specifically told us that this lens is great for arm's length vlogging, yet I couldn't always get the 20-70 f4G to focus on my eyes unless I held the camera out at an really extended distance. The minimum focus distance is listed as being 9.8 inches, although in practice I find it's able to focus a little bit closer. Still, this is more than 9.8 inches away, and it should actually have been able to capture my eye and focus all the time. I did notice that sometimes it would catch my eye and then leave my eye, sometimes it would not find my eye at all. Again, this could be autofocus, but I have not had this happen with other lenses. The Sony 20-70mm f4G is one of those lenses that is really excellent despite its flaws, and maybe that's partially because there are so few flaws with this lens. Instead of seeing this as a lesser version of the 24-70 I already had, I came to see this as a different lens and one that I'm probably going to add to my collection. The image quality and the versatility of this lens makes it a perfect choice for the entry-level photographer, and also for any photographer looking for a perfect travel lens, a backup lens, or when it's really not practical to bring a more expensive and more visible lens when you go somewhere. If I could only pick one lens in this relative focal length, of course, I'd pick the 24-70 GM2. Much more traditional lens, that extra stop gives you a lot of versatility in portraits and in low light. But I have that lens, and I find myself still turning to this lens over and over again. That's a really good sign, and I think it makes this 20-70mm lens one of the most versatile and one of the most useful lenses in the whole Sony lineup. But let me know in the comments below, is this a lens that you would pick up? Would you use this lens instead of another lens? Would this lens fit into the kind of shooting that you do? I really want to hear what you think about the 20-70mm focal length. If you like this kind of content, please like and subscribe. It keeps this channel going. Over here you can find a selection of other reviews that I've done for lenses in the Sony system, and over here you can subscribe to the channel. For Dave Tries This, I'm David Schloss. Thanks so much for giving this a try.